The wild woke saga of NixOS continues. Back in June, during Pride Month, the NixOS Linux project changed their logo to, quote, stand with their LGBTQ plus friends. Okay, this is if you're watching the video, this is their logo. If you're listening to the audio podcast, I'll include a link to this article so you can go check out all of the glorious screenshots. One developer inquired about this by asking, is NixOS now taking a stance on social political issues? If so, perhaps a written statement should be accompanying such changes. He goes on to say, I'm mostly just curious because this is the first time I've seen the logo change colors like this in my time using NixOS. He opened that as an official issue within the NixOS bug tracking system looking for a comment. It was then made clear by NixOS leadership that this new Pride version of their logo was intended to be a semi-permanent thing. Quote, this isn't just a June statement, said the representative of NixOS in a post reinforcing their focus on LGBTQ plus pride. Quote, it's something we live year-round. And yes, it looks great. We are proud, we are grateful, and we stand with our LGBTQ friends, colleagues, and contributors, those who lead, build, support, and inspire every day. Now, immediately following this statement, NixOS leadership declared that they plan to keep the Pride-themed logo up longer. That's a direct quote. Keep the Pride-themed logo up longer, stating that for NixOS, quote, the ongoing fight for equality and celebrating LGBTQ plus friends does not stop on June 30th. As for how that is perceived, what about it? End quote. After which, that developer who inquired if NixOS was taking a political stance was banned. Moderation note, this topic is resolved and the originator has been blocked for trolling. No further comment is necessary. And he wasn't simply banned from one platform either. It wasn't like he was just banned from one place. That developer was permanently suspended on all platforms for trolling. That's a direct quote from their... They keep a permanently banned list, a moderation list over in their source control for NixOS, which I should point out, I am in. I got banned from NixOS after covering some of their purges, right? So they had these purges last year, and I covered them in an article and in a show, and I was banned from NixOS. The crazy thing was, I didn't even have an account. I was banned from their forum and their bug tracking and their source code repository, their chat channels, all of it. Permanently banned. Anyone named Lunduke is permanently banned, basically. Preemptively, just in case I showed up. I was pre-banned. So anyway, but this wasn't for a one platform ban. It was for the forum, the chat, the bug tracker, all of it, right? He was banned everywhere. Now, of course, like I mentioned, this sort of political extremism is nothing new for NixOS. Let's talk a little bit, just to refresh everyone's memory, let's talk a little bit briefly about the purge. So back in April of 2024, last year, NixOS began mass suspending users and contributors who were suspected of having conservative politics. And initially, it was a whole barrage of 2-week-long suspensions, a couple of permanent suspensions, but a ton of 2-week-long suspensions. And quickly, many, if not most, of those temporary 2-week suspensions turned into permanent bans from the entirety of the NixOS project. Again, everything, forums, source code, everything. And that was an event which the NixOS moderation team themselves affectionately referred to as a purge of who they called Nazis. They called it a Nazi purge. And of course, as far as I can tell, and I've reached out to pretty much everyone who was suspended. I might have missed a couple, but I talked to a lot of people. I couldn't find anyone who was even remotely close to being a Nazi. I asked people, people point blank. I'm like, they said that this was a Nazi purge. Are you a Nazi? Do you have Nazi sympathies? Do you like Nazis? And by and large, everyone was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm opposed to Nazis. Several of the people I talked to were U.S. Army veterans who were like, are you kidding me? Like, they're Nazis. We hate the Nazis. We went to war with the Nazis. We're anti-Nazi, right? But they got suspended just the same because they really weren't about suspending actual Nazis. They just wanted to call people Nazis who they didn't agree with. And what's crazy is they did all this while literally waving the Antifa flag. One of the moderators, who goes by the name Hexa, said at the time, if a community is 10 years behind on moderation and effectively a Nazi bar, then of course a purge is what is needed. Thanks for spreading the word about purges. And little Antifa emoji logo. All of this culminated in the NixOS moderation team actually forcing the founder of NixOS to abdicate his role in the project entirely. This crew of political extremists even went so far as to draft an abdication letter on behalf of the NixOS founder. And they somehow, I don't fully understand how they pulled this off. They somehow managed to convince the founder of NixOS to sign it, to become a signatory on it. And one of the notes from the extremists within the draft of that abdication letter noted that the NixOS founder must be forced to add himself as a signatory of the letter for it to appear amicable. That's a direct quote, for it to appear amicable. And it sounds wild, but it truly happened. For those of you watching the video, you get it. Here's a screenshot of a draft of the abdication letter. And they wrote the darn thing in Google Docs, by the way. And yeah, I was shown all of this because Lunduke Journal has eyes everywhere. So this was written by those extremists within the NixOS project that they then forced somehow the founder to sign onto. It's crazy. So as we can see, banning, or in NixOS parlance, purging of those with wrong political opinions is nothing new. And yet it appears that even after the mass bannings of 2024, the NixOS extremists are not done with their purge. They're still going. They're rocking out with their purges. It's crazy to me that this is still ongoing. It's crazy to me that there are still people that are left to be banned. I mean, because they banned a mountain of people last year, and they banned even more people after the purge took place. When the Lunduke Journal had an article, I think 2 articles and a couple of shows and follow-ups around this, and then that created a new round of people asking about it. They banned everyone who inquired. Like we're not really banning people for having conservative politics, are we? Banned. Have you guys seen this article or this show from Lunduke? This isn't really happening, isn't it? Banned. Is it banned? Banned. It was crazy. And what's really wild is a lot of those same people doing the banning quickly took to their various social media and whatnot and started just spewing some of the most vile stuff, just swear word after swear word, just dogging on people, belittling people, slandering and libeling people. It was a nonstop barrage of attacks on a wide variety of people, in addition to all the bans, and it wreaked havoc on the NixOS project. And as you've seen from NixOS, they haven't quite recovered from it. They really haven't had that. They had a tremendous amount of momentum, both internally in the project with new features and building steam and gaining new users, and just in general in the software world of gaining traction, of gaining interest and excitement among users and potential users and developers. And they lost a lot of that momentum, and they haven't regained it since. And here they are basically doubling down and saying, now we're going to do things like declare it's Pride Month year round, which is clearly going to elicit some sort of response from people, right? Either they're like, yay, Pride Month year round, woohoo, that makes great software, or something, or they're going to be like, do we really need to make political statements like that? That's probably just going to drive a wedge between people. And what that does is it helps them identify more people to ban. I don't understand. It doesn't help the success of the project or the health of the project. It doesn't help people feel welcome. It doesn't make the software any better. It makes everything worse. Everything the NixOS teams, the moderation teams and the leadership teams are doing at this point is just making their project worse. It's wild. Absolutely wild. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for allowing me to keep tabs on all this ridiculous and crazy stuff. Head on over to lunduke.com, click on some links where you can listen, where you can read, where you can watch. Thank you to all of the subscribers for making this work possible. Go forth and enjoy the subscriber-only videos sections over on Locals and Patreon and YouTube and Substack and X. You can get it all over the place. Itch MP4 downloads, it's all over there. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.